Hello, my precious friends. Thank you for joining the Carnivore Hippie once again. Today we're talking about support, or more to the point, lack of support. That can be hard. What do you do when the people that you live near or live with are not supportive of what you're trying to do? Either they just ignore it completely and do whatever they want, or what if they're just actively critical? When your spouse or your partner or your housemates or your coworkers or your neighbors or whoever else that you have to interact with on the regular is either just critical or just plain old not supportive of what you're doing. And maybe they try to get you to eat things that you don't think you should eat, or maybe they just don't really care and they eat all sorts of manner of junk in front of you without any consideration of whether it's bothering you. Well, how do you get them more on board with you? What can you do to help them be aware that what they're doing is actually kind of harmful to you? Well, unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, my precious friends, but there's not really anything you can do about it. It's very sad, but there is a rare occasion where you can sit down and talk to someone who may not be aware that what they're doing is problematic for you. And, they may be sensitive or tenderhearted enough to want to at least do you the favor of, not eating chips in front of you or whatever. But for the most part, if you attempt to get the people around you to change their behavior so that your life is easier for you, it's probably going to backfire. I have seen it over and over again. I have seen it in my own life. Most of the time, it's simply not worth the effort. The majority of the time, it will be beating your head against a brick wall and just doing yourself injury on top of every other difficulty that you've had to deal with regards to changing your diet for the better and changing your lifestyle. So what do? Well, I'll tell you. Every person has a certain amount of energy that they have to spend to get through the day. And most of the time, for most human beings, we have lots and lots of things that we could choose to spend our energy on, but we don't have anywhere near enough energy to spend doing all the things or accomplishing all the things that we would like to see accomplished in a day. So therefore, we have to prioritize. And when it comes to convincing those who are near you to be supportive, if they're not already, or spending your energy learning how to be independent and self-sufficient, which do you think you'll be better off doing? Well, I know for me, and for many people I have talked to, the most efficient expenditure of your energy is going to be learning to be self-sufficient and learning how to tolerate other people doing as they will. Because that's what people are going to do. You expect to be let alone to do as you will with your diet. And so if you think about it that way, those people are going to expect to be left alone to do as they will with their diets too. And it may kind of seem unfair because if they're eating junk and they're eating anything they want, whatever you're doing with your diet doesn't really affect them. But in reality, life's not fair. You have the energy that you have to get through the day. You have the energy that you have on a daily basis to get what you need to get done. So you need to be optimal. You need to figure out how to do this without letting other people's behavior derail you. That's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. Sometimes we think, well, if they really cared about me, why wouldn't they change? Well, if you live with critical people who are actively trying to make you stop what you're doing, you might be surprised to think that they might be saying the same things to themselves. Well, if you really cared about me, you wouldn't put yourself at risk by adopting such a crazy diet. So maybe they're deep down in exactly the same place you are. If you cared about me, wouldn't you alter your behavior? So we can see that at the base of it, it's not really realistic. So what do? How do you cope with it? The first thing, the most important thing, is to understand that if someone has a problem with you doing something that they don't like, first you have to decide, is that their problem or is it my problem? Right? Now, if the thing they don't like is that you're using their stuff without permission, okay, something like that. Or if you're doing stuff like taking their food out of the refrigerator and throwing it away because you don't want to look at it, that's going to be your problem. All right. But if it's just that they're made uncomfortable because of the fact that you only want to eat meat and eggs, and it makes them uncomfortable because they're fearful that you're going to have a heart attack, that's their problem. It's not your problem. You're afraid that they're going to have a heart attack from eating junk food, and they don't expect to have to comfort you or correct your thinking. So, turn it around. They eat what they want, you're eating what you want. And you're going to let them worry about whether they have a heart attack, and you're going to worry about whether you have a heart attack. That's the first thing. Decide whether what they're angry about is their problem or your problem, and then deal with it as such. It's usually not that difficult to figure out. Second of all, you need to consider, do I really feel okay with what I'm doing? Or deep down, am I afraid and nervous and uncertain? And this person's criticism or this other person's lack of support is bothering me because I need some external support in order to be able to feel internally confident. All right? That's your problem, not their problem. Okay? So, if that's where your problem is, that deep down you're not confident, you don't think you can do it, then maybe you do need some support. But if that person is not the person who's going to give you support, you need to move on and find someone who will. Right? If you need support, if you need encouragement, you can drop me a line in the comments. You can contact me through my email, which will be in the show notes. All right? If you need support, get yourself plugged in to a community. There's lots of them out there. All right, I'll put the links also in the show notes for a couple of different communities that you can get involved in if you need support and you need maybe a sounding board, if you have questions to ask. You know, the movement is bigger probably than you think it is. But the keto and carnivore activists, so to speak, are out there. The communities are out there. You can get hooked into one. And if you get firmly hooked into one, and you know that there's some place that you could go with your frustrations and your doubts and your questions, pretty soon it's not going to matter if your husband insists on bringing home ice cream, or your girlfriend insists upon bringing home chocolate, or your workmates insist upon bringing in donuts, or your doctor insists upon waggling the finger at you every time you have an appointment, pretty soon it's not going to matter. Because number one, you'll have support, and number two, you will begin to feel the difference. And once you have begun to feel the vibrancy and the new outlook on life that this change of lifestyle can bring to you, pretty soon it won't matter what anybody else is doing. Okay? So don't fight that battle. Number one, don't fight that battle. Don't bang your head against the wall. Save your energy for something more important. Number two, get hooked into a community. All right? If you really just don't want to put yourself out there, you can contact me in the comments. We can make arrangements to have a chat. Don't worry about it. Do those two things. They will empower you, maybe more than you even realize. You don't need to change anybody else's behavior. You only need to change yours. Okay? That's it for now. Peace, love, and meat. We will talk again soon. Bye-bye.